So, today we're going to talk about Shakespearean sonnets because we've been studying Shakespearean language and some of his plays, but he's also very famous for his sonnets, and I wanted you to have a chance to experience those as well. So, your first question is probably, what is a sonnet? Well, a sonnet is a 14-line poem, and that is a very strict rule of all sonnets. You cannot have a 12-line sonnet or a 15-line sonnet. It must be 14 lines long. It cannot be a sonnet if it's not 14 lines. In Shakespearean sonnets, you have three stanzas of 4 lines and then a couplet. And if you remember, a stanza is kind of like a paragraph in poetry. So that means you have 4 lines and then a break, and then 4 lines and a break, 4 lines, a break, and then 2 lines. So that's how you get your 14-line poem. And usually that couplet at the very end summarizes the top 3 stanzas or the first 12 lines, or it might even have a plot twist, like a dun 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 moment at the end there. And all of the sonnets for Shakespeare are written in iambic pentameter, which is a type of rhythm that has alternating stressed and unstressed syllables with 5 per line. And stressed syllables are the way you speak. You naturally have these stressed syllables. It just depends on how you read it. So here's an example of iambic pentameter by a poet named Keats. Her last name's Keats. Close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless. So it's the syllables that are stressed throughout, and that is how Shakespeare wrote his 14-line sonnets in iambic pentameter. So we've already discussed rhyme scheme before, but this is a good little refresher. Rhyme scheme is each line of a poem is assessed a letter. So if the first line ends in cat, that might be A, and the next line is dog, so it does not rhyme with cat, you put B, but then it says hat, well, that rhymes with cat, so you have A again, right? So whatever words rhyme, they're assigned a letter. So all the lines that are assessed as A all have to rhyme with each other. The ones with B all have to rhyme with each other. And there are 2 different rhyme schemes that can be used for sonnets. The bottom one here that says Petrarch, that's a different poet, and his sonnets always had this rhyme scheme right here. But we're studying Shakespeare, and the Shakespearean rhyme schemes are always the same. A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and then the couplet is G, G. That is a Shakespearean rhyme scheme. It must have that rhyme scheme, 14 lines. So notice 3 stanzas and a couplet and iambic pentameter in order to be a Shakespearean style sonnet. So let's talk about Shakespeare's sonnets. Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets, but they weren't even published till the end of his life, and the people that published it did not have his permission. It's widely assumed that he probably was not going to publish them. They were his own form of expression, his own sonnets, and for his own personal release or his own personal relaxation. And instead, they were taken and published. There are a lot of rumors surrounding these. He didn't discuss it very much because they weren't supposed to be enjoyed by other people. They were his poems. So a lot of the rumors about who was he writing these poems to, because they have strong feelings in them. And who is he feeling this anger or jealousy or love or passion towards? And a lot of people can't tell if they're autobiographical in nature, which means if they're based on things that are actually happening in his life and they're telling a story, or if they're fictional, meaning he just kind of made them up as he went and he just liked to write. Similar to, Romeo and Juliet or many of his other plays. Those are fictional, not based on his own life. So the first 126 sonnets have a lot of rumors surrounding them because it appears as the sonnets were written to a man. But here's where the gossip starts, are the sonnets written to a man that he's possibly interested in, just as gossip surrounds people nowadays? It happened back then too. Or are they written from somebody else's perspective about him? and he's saying how he feels. So nobody really knows, and so people gossip and they start spreading rumors just as it happens now. But it's a rumor that they are written to a man, whoever that man may be. And it would seem that the poet, or the person speaking in the poems, is obsessed with this young man, but the man rejects him. He wants nothing to do with him. So again, we're not sure if Shakespeare was obsessed with this man and the man was rejecting him, or if he's saying somebody was obsessed with him and he was rejecting them. So a lot of these poems show this rejection, this feeling of rejection, but also jealousy and sadness and anger, and even guilt maybe for hurting others. But there's a lot of intense emotions surrounding those. So then sonnets 127 through 154 have a different object of the poem. These are often written about a woman that people refer to as the dark lady, and nobody really know who she was. She seems to be kind of like his mistress or his girlfriend of some sort, and it seems like the poet loves this woman, and she returns his love. She does love him back, but she loves other people as well. And so that obviously creates this love and passion feeling, but anger and jealousy and guilt because he doesn't want to have to share her with others. It should be noted, if these are autobiographical, that this would have been a mistress because Shakespeare was indeed married. So all of his sonnets take you on this roller coaster of emotions. You have this love and infatuation and obsession, and you can't be without this person. And then you're confused, maybe by rejection or the fact that they love you and they love somebody else. And so that makes you sad. And it leads to this anger and jealousy and then even guilt based on your emotions. And then it all kind of starts over again. It's this entire roller coaster. So let's see, probably one of Shakespeare's most famous sonnets is Sonnet 18. And I guarantee you that at least parts of this you have heard before because it's so famous. But let me read it to you. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair some time declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. So you've probably heard a lot of that before, but again, he's saying, how do I even compare thee to, or compare you, be is a Shakespearean fancy way of saying you, to a summer day, that you're so much better than that. And he's just professing his love for this person. So this is your introduction to Shakespearean sonnets, and now you're going to have a chance to try and write some of your own.